Welcome back to the Big Fight Recap here on Boxing Legends TV.
I'm going to knock Manny Pacquiao out. I'm going to crucify Manny Pacquiao.
All those words that I heard give me more inspiration and determination.
In this episode, we'll be counting down the year-end awards for all things boxing in 2019. 12 categories with gold, silver, and bronze accolades. Performance cards, detailed statistics, you name it, it's here. Press the like button if you enjoy our videos and feel free to subscribe if you're new around here. Here now, Boxing Legends TV presents the Big Boxing Recap of 2019. We're kicking things off with a bang, as our first category today is KO of the Year.
Nah, it didn't hurt me. Nah, you're lying. It didn't hurt me, man. I'm English. Nobody can hurt us.
Taking third place this year is the British heavyweight contender Derek Chisora for his ruthless finish over Artur Szpilka in July. An unrelenting finish reminiscent of Mercer v. Morrison.
A cacophony of noise for Canelo. Is this where reality strikes?
Taking the silver award today is Canelo Alvarez for his last-ditch effort over the naturally bigger and experienced Sergey Kovalev on November 2nd. The fight itself was a cagey technical bout where the judges had to earn their wage. Kovalev was just a few minutes from victory on my card, but became irrelevant as the smarter Canelo was finally paid off for his astute counterpunching in the 11th. For me, number one was quite a distance ahead of the others in terms of pure style and brutality.
I have never in my life heard someone get knocked out like that.
Deontay Wilder has been racking up a highlight reel close to Mike Tyson's in recent years. Granted, not all of his opponents are Hall of Fame worthy. Still, he is dispatching the unworthy challengers to the delight of the crowd. A punch that will undoubtedly never be forgotten. With more light being shown upon the canvas as each year progresses, it becomes increasingly difficult to spot the next Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao climbing the ranks.
A long, hard journey ahead, but you believe you can go all the way, don't you? I'm not saying anything just yet.
Two of the three prospects we've chosen this year are at very early stages, but have captured the eye of the hardcore fans just enough to earn themselves a slot.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the fast rising, the Golden Child.
In third place, we have the 13-0 lightweight from Brooklyn, New York, Chris Colbert.
Oh, there's a right hand! Down goes Beltran!
Lil B-Hop, also known as Mr. Primetime, is a young kid that's been in the spotlight since a very young age. A two-time amateur champion, star of Netflix original documentary Counterpunch, and now a hotshot undercard fighter for the PBC and Al Haymon.
So I want to make sure everybody in the super featherweight division know that I am a force to be reckoned with.
Colbert is a standout switch hitter, boxing at both southpaw and orthodox at a very high level. His defensive game is on point, and his speed and power combined are just enough to make the best of him cautious of overstepping the mark. Taking the silver home this year is the super quick welterweight from Lynn, Massachusetts, Speedy Rashidi Ellis. Perhaps not quite as popular as our previous pick, but fans with a keen eye can already tell if this young man gets any better, the champions at welterweight have a serious problem on their hands.
Nobody can make it hard for an announcer either. Stars, Spangled Glory, say that.
His hand speed is among the fastest in the world, but it's his rapid and often correct decision-making that makes him unique.
We are talking to boxing sensation Rashidi Ellis, the guy who may have the fastest hands in boxing.
Yeah, I do.
I gotta put you with Amir Khan and see, because you're right up there with him and Gary Russell.
Rashidi, whether he likes it or not, has an obvious resemblance in style to a young Adrian Broner, which in my opinion is a positive thing. Only now, I think he needs to find the right balance between being cocky and confident.
Carefully, and now, oh, that's surely it!
I mean, if you get hit by somebody like Dubois, and I'm on record as saying he's the hardest single punching heavyweight I've ever seen in this country.
My slight bias for the heavyweight division is on display once again this year, as I'm struggling to put another prospect above the heavy-handed 22-year-old Daniel Dubois.
He's a nice ambassador for British boxing, and he's the future of British boxing, to be quite honest.
It's debatable whether Dubois is now more of a contender rather than a prospect, but either way, he's a young man, reasonably untested, while still gaining a respectable following for all the right reasons. Daniel's win over the undefeated Nathan Gorman earlier this year was a standout performance, which even took me a little by surprise.
It's caught coming back, but Dubois the one on the front foot. Well, yeah, but do it through boxing, that's the point. Oh, hello. Well, he certainly has done now.
I've been impressed by his eagerness to improve as a boxer this year, rather than just blasting people out in 20 seconds as we know he can. On the other hand, when things have heated up a little, like in the Richard Lardy fight, it's clear that exchanging combos with this man is borderline life-threatening.
And Joshua, you know quite well, having sparred him before.
Yeah.
There were stories of you dropping him in sparring.
It was good sparring.
Thanks to the digital boxing world, the sweet science is being appreciated more than ever.
Nothing landed, however, Canelo is moving and not punching.
It's gotten to the point now where defensive highlight videos on YouTube often attract more viewers than a knockout reel, a positive sign for the sport moving forward. Here is how we would rank the current top 3 defensive fighters based on their 2019 performances. After Floyd Mayweather schooled Canelo in 2014, it appeared the young Mexican took a leaf from his conqueror's book and adapted his style in a more defensive manner.
Good head movement by Canelo.
While he was hit a fair amount of times in both of his 2019 bouts against Danny Jacobs and Sergey Kovalev respectively, his ability to remain the ring general in both fights while counterpunching in the pocket hasn't gone unnoticed. He's not the slickest fighter in the world, but without a doubt, one of the smartest.
No, his defense picked up real good, and he's pretty quick.
Vasily Lomachenko has had a disappointing year in contrast to those prior. We all know him as the slick matrix fighter of this era, with his wins over Nicholas Walters and Jason Sosa embedded in defensive masterclass history.
You know what you see when you see it, and Lomachenko is different from everybody else.
2019 saw the Ukrainian take to the ring twice over 2 Brits, in Anthony Corolla and Luke Campbell, neither of whom were at the top of fans' lists for Loma to take on. Either way, the performances were decent enough to give him a pass for this year in hopes for a brighter 2020. Tevin Farmer takes the #1 slot this year for his impressive defensive displays over Joan O'Carroll and Guillaume Frenois.
Trying to load up with that left hand. At least he has tried. Traps Farmer in the corner. Farmer is moving his hand. Look at this.
With just 6 KOs in his 30 wins, Tevin relies heavily on his boxing prowess to gain victory, most of which is spent on the back foot, shoulder rolling, and pot-shotting. It's not the most entertaining style in the world, but it's been decisive in him remaining a world champion. I think it's the right time for him to take on Tank Davis now and put those skills to the test against a proven power puncher.
How do you think a fight between you and Gervonta Davis would play out?
Tell him to sign a contract and we can see the end of the year.
I won that knockdown.
Probably the only award that no one wants to win, but with the good comes the bad, and this is how we saw the top 3 fails of the year.
Here's the good news. I've been a meme before.
KSI versus Logan Paul 2, to the delight of many and misery of others, was an event that was impossible to ignore. I have nothing but respect for both of these guys for getting in the ring. I don't think many people thought we were about to witness a super fight or anything. I mean, come on, it's not like they're going to be world champions, right? Well, our very own Shannon Briggs was trying to convince people otherwise.
Now Let's go, champ.
You've taken a lot of criticism over this past couple of weeks by saying that Logan Paul is going to be world champion.
This man has ability. He has reflexes. He has big legs. He has everything, and he's white. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, he's going to be the greatest thing to ever touch.
I can see how the "he's white" comment grabbed all the headlines, but people that follow this sport know it's a pretty harmless comment just alluding to the old saying that a great white hope is what boxing needs, which, unless you were born in the 1800s, is kinda outdated. Admittedly, Shannon did bring some entertainment to the build-up, but he's gotta hold an L for that one.
I know bodybuilders don't even put 20 pounds of muscle on a year. This is cheeseburgers, my cheeseburgers right here.
See. We could easily make a top 10 list just on world-class fighters who failed drug tests this year, yet the #1 pick would far surpass the others for blatancy and embarrassment.
He ain't gonna beat me, he ain't gonna stop me. I'm a walking monster. Come June 1st, I'm uniting the world.
Jarrell Big Baby Miller finally got his big shot in 2019 when it was announced that he'd be fighting Anthony Joshua for 3 of the 4 major belts, on his own turf, while earning a more than generous amount of money.
Your mom think I'm hit hard though.
Where's your mom? She'd be lucky I pay her rent now.
Yeah.
I pay her rent now.
Yeah.
Miller is a big talker, so I didn't expect anything other than trash talk during the build-up. However, in retrospect, calling Anthony Joshua a blatant drug cheat in the press conference doesn't look so good right now, considering it'd be himself that got popped just 2 months before the scheduled bout.
To some breaking news coming out of the United States after Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn revealed an issue around Miller's dope test.
He failed his first test for a PED known as Endurobo, and then later, B samples found more dramatic enhancers such as EPO and HGH.
I messed up, I made a bad call.
To be fair, he did somewhat own up to his mistakes, but boxing fans can be unforgiving, especially for someone that they didn't really like to begin with.
And protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves.
Hands down, the biggest fail of the year belongs to the undefeated French lightweight, Sabri Sadiri. Sabri has never featured in a televised bout before, so when Frank Warren from BT Sports gifted him a chance to fight on his platform against a fellow unbeaten Brit, he jumped in with both feet and desperately tried to make a name for himself.
The Frenchman.
He doesn't. No, terrific shots when he landed.
Every punch he landed was rubbed in with a wink and a dance, a truly over-the-top showboating display. He was winning comfortably on the cards and had 2 knockdowns secured in the bank, so by the 10th and final round, he became a little careless, to say the least.
Which tells the story. Oh, great shot! Left hand, right hand from Maxwell. Well, where did that come from? I can hardly believe what I've seen.
An excellent moment for Sam Maxwell, and one that will not fade from memory thanks to the BT Sport YouTube channel uploading the fight highlights about 20 times. Before we take a look at our next category, here is a quick list of the top 10 perfect unblemished records in the world today. This is not by any means a pound-for-pound list, just the most winning fighters regardless of resume. At number 10, we have the British middleweight Billy Joe Saunders. The last couple of years have been a bit stale, but the defensive-savvy Saunders is likely to have a big 2020. Jermall Charlo, not to be confused with his twin brother Jermell, clocks in at number 9 with a record of 30-0.
Another 1-2, but a counter right!
Next up is another man starting to build a decent resume from the UK and Josh Warrington, who now boasts a record of 30-0. Not everyone's favorite boxer due to doping scandals, but Luis Nery is a talented fighter that also holds a 30-0 record. Possibly the most unknown fighter on the list next, the 31-0 European super welterweight champion Sergio Garcia. He holds one notable win over Ted Cheeseman.
Sometimes you step up from British to European level and you're not good enough, you're not ready. And ultimately that's what happened to Ted Cheeseman.
The WBC super bantamweight champion Ray Vargas is another climbing the world ranking with his 34-0 record. At just 23 years old, Jaime Munguia is the youngest boxer featured and has established himself as a solid boxer with notable punching power to accompany his 34 straight wins. A name I'm sure you're all aware of at number 3, as Terence Crawford beat down Amir Khan this year to advance his record to 35-0. It hasn't been his most significant year, but still a top pound-for-pound contender in anyone's rankings. At 40-0, Gilberto Ramirez is another boxer that has an abundance of skill but has failed to capture the fans' attention due to a lack of top-quality fights. At number 1, coming in with a staggering, wait for it, 54-0 record, is the Thai strawweight, Juan Hangwenoethan. He may have beaten Floyd Mayweather's record, but he's done it in arguably the worst division of boxing while cherry-picking his opponents. He does have a few semi-decent wins, just simply not enough to gain pound-for-pound recognition. But hey, that's Thai boxing in a nutshell. It's been tough to narrow down the best performances this year with so many of the big fights being close-fought battles.
He's wobbling. He is very hurt. Teixeira out of nowhere. You cannot defend that right hook.
However, these were the first 3 that came to mind, so let's take a look.
Manny Pacquiao, the pride of the Philippines.
I think it's fair to say once Manny Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn in 2017, whether you thought he was robbed or not, it seemed like the end of the road for the pound-for-pound legend. However, in 2019, he bounced back hugely and kicked off the year with a classy one-sided performance over Adrian Broner. Broner isn't quite the fighter he was a few years back. Still, the betting odds suggested he may have been the one to put the final nail in Pac-Man's career coffin. Fortunately, for boxing's sake at least, Manny had little problem in controlling AB during the fight and won a relatively wide unanimous decision. Errol Spence Jr. was another welterweight that had an exceptional fighting year, with his March showdown with the 39-0 Mikey Garcia being the main point we'd like to highlight.
He can box on the inside, box from the outside, tremendous punching power on both hands. He's the most dominant guy I've seen so far in boxing right now.
Mikey deserves credit for moving up in weight and challenging the best in the world. Only a selected few experts expected him to win against Spence, and for good reason. He was well and truly undone by the Texan body snatcher. Consistent solid blows were landed throughout the fight, which left Garcia a bruised mess as the 120-108 whitewash scorecards were read out. You have to hand it to Anthony Joshua to overcome such a shocking defeat earlier in the year and bounce back to reclaim his titles. Joshua has been criticized by the odd few for not engaging Ruiz too much in the rematch, winning the large majority of the fight off the back foot with his jab. However, I think the tactics were spot on, as he did exactly what he needed to do to win, which is, first and foremost, the #1 priority. It has to be said, Ruiz didn't quite look at his best. Weighing in a stone heavier for the rematch certainly added to that. But AJ, for me at least, showed a new side to his game with an elevated level of pose and ring IQ. If you want to see the final 5 categories, including Fighter of the Year, Round of the Year, and the ever-popular Fight of the Year, then head on over to our second channel, BLTV Extra, where we'll be posting Part 2 soon enough.
Oh, go on, man.
How did you enjoy boxing in 2019? Let us know down below and we'll pin our favorite comment. Until next time, fight fans, this is BLTV, signing off.